Right. I've got my coffee. I've got my
Got your coffee.
biscuits. Let's go.
Cool.
And I say biscuits, I mean biscuit for Josie that's listening. I've got one biscuit.
One biscuit.
Because I'm on a bit of a sugar not ban, but restriction, because, well, the other evening I ate a family-sized apple crumble to myself.
And it happens.
Apparently that's too much for an individual.
It's frowned
and
upon.
also, you know, like Tesco do those really big packs of cookies. There's like 5 in a pack. They're really big cookies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they're my favourite. So I got some white chocolate ones. And I said to Josie, can I have these cookies, please? She was like, of course you can. And she said to me, as long as I can have one. So I was like, oh, I weighed it up in my head and I thought, oh, that's 4 still enough. So she can have one. And when I opened the pack, there was 6 in there. So I was buzzing, right? So I ate 2 straight off the bat, one after the other. And then when we got home, I was like, I need more. So Josie was like, oh, can I have one? So I gave her one. And while she was eating it, she was like, oh, I don't really like how gooey they are. So I was like, oh,
give it back then. Give it back
then. Anyways, so the last one in the packet, I immediately picked up to eat. And she was like, what makes you think that's yours? I was like, well, first off, you only asked for one. You've had your one. Right. Second off, you've just complained about it, so you don't even deserve it.
Fair argument.
I know. So apparently eating 5 cookies and a family. I think this was in the same day as well that I ate the 5 cookies and the apple crumble. So I'm on a bit of a restriction with
sugar,
which is good because sugar's bad for people. But
it is.
It makes me happy, man.
I love a decent cookie as well.
Yeah, these were decent cookies. So I've got plain digestives. And I've only got one.
Josie doesn't watch the YouTube, does she?
She doesn't watch the YouTube.
I have one pack. Well, we'll get an idea of like whether they're listening or not, won't we?
Yeah. Yep.
Just don't say anything. Just wait until she hears it. She'll be like, what?
She got me some Kinder, like, they're like the Kinder fingers.
Yeah, are they the ones that like
the ridges?
Yeah.
Oh, they're my favourite. I can eat an entire pack of like 18 just without even stopping, just without even taking the wrapper off. They'll just go in. And she said to me that I can have one. I said, I really want one with my coffee because I like to dip them in. And she was like, you can have one. And I was like, please, may I have 2? She's like, okay. So while she was out the kitchen, I ate one and I got another one out the pack.
Oh, the deceit.
I know, but she clocked it because when she came back in, I had my mouth full because I'd shoved it in.
Didn't swallow quick enough.
No, I know. And she was like, and she obviously clocked that there was 2 on the side. She's like, all right, I've got something to ask you.
And you're like, oh God.
Did you eat one and get another one out the pack? And I was like, yeah.
You were like, no, yeah, fine.
Yeah, no, I did. Absolutely did do that.
Did do that.
So I had to put it back.
I'll do it again. I just can't get into just plain digestives though.
I really I wouldn't just eat them by themselves, but I just like dipping them in my coffee. But because they're a really, really soggy biscuit, you have to be super quick with these.
Yeah,
in and out, quick. Straight in the mouth.
Yeah, at least with rich tea, you've got some
structure.
Yeah, because they're quite hard, aren't they, rich tea?
Yeah, because with these, you dip in, come out, and if you're not quick enough to the mouth, it will fall on you.
Yeah.
Falls right on you.
Yeah. So you're obviously a biscuit dunker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
Josie's not.
No. I like the structure of a biscuit, the integrity of a biscuit, and I like it to stay as it was intended.
I like a soggy coffee soaked biscuit.
Do you know, I used to buy a packet of rich tea every day. People are probably going to scream at me, but it was a long time ago and I don't care. I used to buy a packet of paper.
Random blabs, go.
I used to buy a packet of rich tea every day, and I used to, on my way down to the stables where I had my sheep, and I used to open his door and he'd come out and I'd say, right, come on, let's go out in the field. and I'd get a packet of rich tea and we'd sit on a hay bale, and between the two of us, we'd go through this packet of rich tea biscuits.
I
and
love
then
that for you.
and then he'd go in the field and spend the day in the field. Obviously, it didn't like affect him because he lived a long, long life
Loved it.
and a happy life. He was a happy sheep.
All right, we have got some shout outs.
Shout outs.
Yep.
That's made
Oh.
my week.
Honestly.
We've both had a bit of a like shitty time lately. And
Yeah.
I really feel like, even though I know I did say, but I mean, we don't always say, but our listeners,
Intuitively know.
they get us, don't they?
Yeah,
And they go,
they know.
oh, here's a little coffee, or oh, here's a
Here's a
subscription. So cool. I love that. I love our little poddies. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I couldn't wait to get back to you all, because I
know.
missed you. We don't mind.
First shout out to Sarah Hetherington.
Sarah!
Welcome to the Blammers Squad.
Thanks, Sarah.
It's what's strange as well is that, first and foremost, we share the same name. And secondly,
Yeah.
her email address is very similar to my email address.
Oh, is it you?
It's not me, no. It's
Are you
not,
trying
but
to
it
make
could
us
be.
feel better.
They're both me. No,
Yeah.
yeah, which I thought I saw, because when it comes through, it gives us their email address as well. And yeah, I'm very surprised to see it's very similar to my email address.
I wonder what she looks like. I wonder if she looks like you. Could be your doppelganger.
Mate.
Oh. Well, thank you, Sarah Hetherington. That is awesome.
Yes,
and I'm glad you're part of the family.
You've got quite a few blams to catch up on, and then extra ones, 2 a month coming your way. And also, second shout out, Tina Foos.
Tina Foos. Tina. Thanks, Tina.
Honestly, you guys, I hope you really enjoy the blams.
Yeah, and our intention is to just do more and more, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But at the moment, everything's stopping us and getting in the way, like work and life.
It takes about a week maybe to write and research and record and edit the episodes, and we've released one a week, so to fit the blams in sometimes is quite difficult. So they are sporadic throughout the month. There's no set date for them, but there will always be 2 a month.
Yeah, at least.
I'd
like to do a blam with some of our blammers, and like actually just have a blam that's like a discussion about one of the episodes. So that they can actually like log on and
join our little Zoom meeting.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Absolutely.
I would like that. Let us know if you'd like that as well, because I would like that.
Shout out's done. So
random blam, go.
You just pipped me to it.
Oh, yes.
Just pipped me to it. Right, so my random blam.
Yes.
It's about missing people and the facts that surround missing people. Every year, more than 800,000 children go missing in the United States alone.
800,000?
Yeah. That's staggering.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, it does say that only pretty much 1% of those won't be found.
Yeah, but
so
still,
found.
I mean, it's a lot anyway. But I mean, 1% of 800,000. That's a lot of children that won't be found.
Oh my God, that's true. I hadn't even done the math.
Yeah,
that is scary.
Scary. Well, that does pertain to the episode.
Oh, okay then. Didn't even know.
Does.
Okay.
Didn't even know, and you were pertaining all over the place. Well, mine also partly pertains to the episode. Pertains. And it is the term copycat refers to the tendency of humans to duplicate their behavior of others, as expressed in the saying, monkey see, monkey do. The expression may possibly, it said, have originated from observing the habits of kittens that learned by imitating the behavior of their mother.
But why isn't it kittens say see kitten do?
Because they're copying a cat.
Oh, a copycat.
Mm.
I see. All right then.
Yeah. Random blams. Done.
Yeah.
So with my episode today, what I've done is I've included, like I've done on episodes before, I've included recordings of, the actual people involved, live recording of when certain things were actually happening. And the reason that I have done that is because whenever I'm intrigued by a murder or anything like that, I will hunt down on the internet any kind of like evidence, any kind of video, any kind of audio, anything like that, because I just feel an absolute need to hear it from the people themselves. So there's quite a lot of video, audio, everything on the internet of this. So I have whittled it all down so that it's in a reasonable time for you guys to listen to. One of the recordings is very long, but I shall tell you when that is. But yeah, hopefully you find it intriguing by listening to it as it was happening. Morning.
Morning.
Morning, morning.
Morning. And what a lovely morning it is.
Lovely morning it is. Right, so the episode today is all about Brian Cohee Jr. Brian Cohee, do you know this?
I've literally got it on my notes to do this story. I wrote it down like yesterday or the day before. This is everywhere at the minute.
Oh, well, I hope I get it all right then. So Brian Cohee resided in Grand Junction in Colorado. He lived with his mum, although he spent a lot of time at his dad's house. He said he went there most days. His mum and dad had good relationship, still friendly with each other, still saw each other regularly. It was all good. He was 19 years old at the time of these events. He was also diagnosed with major depressive disorder, ADHD, and autism. Brian had been described by people that knew him as somewhat of an oddball, to say the least. There was quite a lot of people that didn't like him. They found him quite obnoxious. They didn't really get his humour. And I mean, I think I've got an inappropriate humour. I find things that are inappropriate funny because they're inappropriate to a certain point. But Brian took this to a whole different level. Like he would make jokes about like him and his family were watching a beauty pageant on telly, and he made a comment that was something like, wouldn't it be funny if you laced their lipsticks with, I think he said mercury,
Oh gosh.
so that, you know, obviously when they put the lipstick on, it would poison them.
Yeah, that's not cool.
No, it's not cool. So he had, when I say a pretty dark sense of humour, it was quite often things that were very over the line and very, very inappropriate. And his family and his friends would constantly sort of say to him, Brian, that's not funny. Brian, that's inappropriate, you know, and he'd, whatever sort of thing. On February 28th, 2021, Brian went out for a drive. He drove around for a little while. He said it was a full moon, so there was quite a lot of visibility, good visibility, so he could have a good look round everywhere. And he thought, seems like a good night to go out for a drive. He filled his tank with fuel halfway through his evening and kept on driving. He went to park at Blue Heron boat ramp, where his dad worked next to the river. Brian Sr., so his dad's name is also Brian Cohee. He was the owner of the life jacket program. And so Brian Jr. thought, on this little jaunt around, I might just go and park down on the boat ramp. So he headed down there, parked, sat, taking it all in. And then to his horror, he realised that he'd driven too far down the ramp and he couldn't get his car out. He tried putting his car in low gear and creeping forward, didn't work. He tried shimmying out, didn't work, nothing. The car only slid further and further down the ramp. And
that's because it gets, where the water comes up, it gets like slimy, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it's always like that. And the thing is, when I say boat ramp, it was mud. It wasn't,
really?
yeah, it wasn't one of those concrete boat ramps.
Oh dear then.
Yeah. So the car slid further and further down and began to actually sink into the water. Brian, in an absolute panic, had to jump out and actually wade through the freezing water. And finally he got back onto dry ground. Brian then had to wait for a passing car. He said it took about 5 minutes. He flagged them down, and this was a guy called Kellen and a guy called Durwood Haifa. And Kellen, it was father and son, I believe. And Kellen, who was the son, he knew Brian from high school. And again, later he says that, you know, he thought Brian was a bit of an oddball. So Brian sat with them trying to warm up a bit, and they lent him their phone so that he could call his mum and dad. And he phoned his mum and dad, and he was like, oh, drove my car down the boat ramp, got it stuck, now it's in the river, I'm freezing, I went in the car as it started filling up with water, can you come and get me? So his parents were like, oh.
Again?
So, 10th time this year. So Brian's parents, Terry, who was his mum, and Brian Senior arrived. They said, there's no way we're going to be able to get that out. We need to call the police. So they called the police, and the police soon arrived on the scene. Brian sat in the front of his dad's car with the heating on and his pants off, trying to warm up. Everyone was kind of baffled at how they were going to even get this car out of the water, because it hadn't just slid back straight. It had slid back and then it had turned with the current.
Oh.
So if you're standing on the boat ramp, you're looking at the side of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And so Terry started to phone around a few towing companies, you know, and obviously the police had just turned up. She was phoning these towing companies. Most of the towing companies that she spoke to were saying, we're not about it. We don't want to. Yeah. Thank you. No, thank you. Because
they would get their truck stuck.
Yeah, well, not only that, but most companies have got a winch, so they would winch it out. But I think their issue was that they were going to have to go about waist deep in the water and then try and get under the car to get the winch cable on the car. So they were like, you know, it's February in Colorado, it's freezing cold out. I don't, you know, it's pitch black. I don't want to go in the water and have to do that. So no, thank you. So yeah, so most people was like, nah. Everyone was kind of laughing and joking, and the police were sort of going, oh, how did you manage that? You know, I've actually never come across this before, and you know, what a mistake. And the family were going, well, he's a new driver, you know, he's made this stupid decision, and kids, you know, all that kind of thing. It wasn't a serious thing.
Nobody thought, why on earth are you there?
Yeah. I mean,
what on earth are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone did. But I think it's that typical teenager thing, isn't it? Where you just go, why would you think that was a good idea?
Yeah.
You know, and it's that happens quite a lot in our house. Why on earth would you think that was a good idea to do that? So the first clip, it's a short one, but the first clip I'm going to play is it's So I'll set the scene for you. It's Terry, so Brian's mum, the police officer. They're walking around the shoreline outside of the car, and the car is in the water, like I said, side on, and you can only really see anything because they've got police cars with headlights on. Terry's dad's car's there with the headlights on, and it's kind of pointing at the car, and they're kind of walking around. Brian Jr. and Senior are in Senior's car with the engine running, and Brian's sitting in the passenger seat trying to warm up.
He is an inexperienced driver.
Okay.
Put his car here on the angle, and he got out and like just looked around for a moment, and when he went to get back in, he wasn't able because of the angle to pull it out. I don't know. He's right there.
Okay, we'll talk to him real quick. Sounds good. Hey, partner, you want to come out and talk to me real quick?
Sure. I mean,
Appreciate it, man.
I'm really cold. Is it okay if it's in here? Because
That's fine. Because he is.
Okay, that's fine. I did not know that. No, that's, please stay in the car.
Yeah.
All right. Nobody else in the car?
nope.
No,
Okay.
no, just us. I'm the father. That's the mother, and this is our son. He just
Sounds
called us 20
good.
minutes ago and said, "Dad, I parked at the boat ramp and I messed up. I
He's
tried
like,
to get
"You're
out of the
not
car
gonna
and it
believe
slid down."
this."
Well, you're not hurt, right? You're okay?
No, just a
Okay.
little cold is all.
Just beside your pride a little bit?
And probably $7,000.
Okay. All right, man. Do you have your ID with you, driver's license by any chance?
Thankfully,
What were you doing down here, bud?
well, I felt like I needed to get out.
Okay.
And I figured, why not park here and just
relax a little bit?
relax and think.
Okay.
And I parked on the boat ramp,
Okay.
and I thought it would be easy to get out.
Uh-huh.
But when I tried to,
Where did you park exactly? Were you down the hill a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay.
And then
When he got back in, go ahead.
when I got back in, I tried to put it in drive,
Mhm.
and it didn't go up. So then I tried putting it in low gear, shimmying it a bit. That didn't work.
Were you facing down?
No,
at
I was
this point, or were
facing.
you
I was
this
facing
way?
up.
Okay.
You back down?
Yeah.
That's a really good
Because
idea.
that's-
Got
How
any ideas?
we're gonna handle this, man? 'Cause I don't
It
know.
might stay.
Do I get a tow going for a car in the river and see if anybody will take this?
I'm gonna work on that.
I don't
brother.
know, man. So I'm kind of glad you were coming down here because I was like, it's not a crash. He just
Dude, it's like 8
Parked
feet
it-
out in the water.
he parked it and basically couldn't get it up. It just lost traction, looks like, and then he actually went in it down in the water. He's not hurt at all. So I'm like, how are you gonna get this car out if possible?
I don't know.
Yeah, we made him wait till he was almost 18 before he got his driver's license because we didn't want him having any accidents like they do when they're 16 and 17 and
Gotcha.
doing stupid things. But stupid usually doesn't have an age limit, I guess.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, this is my first time too.
Really?
It's a new one for me.
What's that?
So I've never seen one of these either, so it's a new one for me.
On my website, backing up when people back up their boats, I see accidents when a truck goes accidentally in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Next you know, the boat and the truck's in the water.
I
But
lost him.
Just let me know if he does. That way, if not, we can try and get hold of a tow truck and
Okay.
go from there.
No, it's at an angle. It's heading upriver. It's facing upriver.
Yeah.
Yes, the front of it is facing upriver. Oh, damn it. I'm sorry. It keeps losing the call. Ah! And he's like, I don't want to get wet. I don't have the proper clothing to go into the water and get wet.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert. Well, you know, I was just talking to the patrolman, and they're suggesting that we just adjust this in daylight hours. That's why they make the big bucks. They're smart. Nobody wants to get in the water. I hear ya.
So as you heard from the clip, they're all quite cheerful. They consider it to be a silly accident by a new young driver. You know, the police are sort of joking and laughing. And the reason that I wanted you guys to hear that clip is because when you realize, or when you find out the real reason that Brian was there, and you hear them all joking and laughing, and you think back, this is what it was like for me. When you think back to what had happened a matter of like a couple of hours before, they're all there standing around going, oh, ha, ha, he's a new driver, and oh, what an idiot, and why did you back? You heard his dad say, well, that's,
But you reversed in.
you reversed down. Why would you do that? Sort of thing. It all sounds very sort of ha ha jovial, but when you look back on what had actually just happened, it's horrible. Not that I wanted you to have a horrible time, but so Brian's mum and dad take Brian home to warm up, and then they go back to the boat ramp because obviously the car is still in the water and the police are still there, blah, blah, blah. A tow company does agree to come out in the end. So they come out and they've got this great big sort of flatbed, you know, the trucks that you pull it up and onto. So they've got that, and he's, you know, the guy goes in the water and hooks it up, and then they begin winching it out of the river. However, as I hinted, this evening is that I just described to you is not what really happened. He didn't just go for a fancy moonlit drive to take in some air and look at the full moon and all that. And this is the point where it all starts to unfold. You see, the police see something on the boot or trunk of the car.
Hey, quick question for you.
Sure.
So the back bumper, I don't know, you can probably see it from here. It's a lot of red on the back of that, dripping down it all a little bit. But underneath the license plate, a little area right there. Okay.
Okay.
A lot of red, which means looks like blood.
Blood?
Yeah. I don't know if did your son hurt himself on his way out at all?
He might have, and he just didn't know it. I don't know.
That's why I'm asking. It's a good question. He's at home. Is he make sure he's not got a cut or
He just said he's going to bed.
something out on him somewhere that he's not aware of? Maybe because his adrenaline was a little high. Maybe just have him do like the self-check, make sure he's okay.
Hello?
Brian, are you okay? They see blood on the back bumper of the vehicle.
Really?
Yeah, did you get hurt?
No, what?
Are you sure you don't have any injuries?
No, I'm fine. There's blood on it?
What-
We're not sure.
We're not
It's-
sure. It's
it's
a red, something red
It-
underneath the license plate.
similar blood stain.
Oh, no.
All right, but you're not injured. You don't have any cuts,
No, I don't know what would cause blood or whatever it is on the bumper.
but you're not injured.
No, I'm not injured.
So you can hear what they say in that clip is that they can see something that looks like blood on the back of the car. And this is on the back bumper. So where you would open the boot of the car or open the trunk of the car, it's directly underneath that. And it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot of blood, which is why, because they're nowhere near the car when they can see it. They can just see the car begin to be pulled out of the water, and they're like, look, you can see it there, you can see it in the light of the headlights. It's just all smeared across the back of the bumper of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this is what it is. This is where we're at. They can see what looks like blood on the car. Amazingly, the police released the car back to the Cohees anyway. So they're like, yeah, I'm sure it's nothing. Okay, good
Don't even
night.
check like inside it or anything.
No,
Don't
They
open
li-
the trunk.
no, they're just like, we'll, I mean,
That's
I'm
weird.
saying no. I haven't found any information that they looked inside the boot or anything like that. They were just like, there's something red on the back. They may have looked in, I don't know. Something red on the back, it looks like blood. Oh, well, I'm sure it's fine. Have the car. So the tow truck driver that's just pulled it out just takes the car back to the Cohees' house, and he's like, there you go. And they're like, thank you very much. Bye. And they're like, bye. And off he goes. So that was something that was a bit alarming for me, because I thought, if you saw something and you hear the police officer even say, kind of looks like blood,
Mm-hmm.
why would you not go, well, if it hasn't come from him, like if he said, oh yeah, I was trying to push my car up the boat ramp and I cut my hand really bad or something like that, so yeah, it is my blood, but I'm okay. If that had happened, then I understand. But the fact that the police officer has even heard Brian on the phone saying, no, I've no idea where that would come from, and you know that I know I'm not hurt. It just, yeah, it was a little bit of a
faux pas,
yeah,
an oversight, perhaps.
a slight oversight, yes. However, so the Cohees have got the car back. It's all water damaged and fucked. Things, that's a technical term for that,
Yeah.
by the way. Things took another turn on the following day, March 1st, 2021. Or should I say the next morning, when police had a missing persons report come in from Monique Lanotti, who owns Monique's bridal shop in the town. She reported that a man called Warren Barnes, who was kind of a homeless man, but he would occasionally, there was a room that he used to rent and he used to stay at that, but he still stayed like on the streets. He would go to the area of Monique Bridal in town. He would go there every day to kind of socialize a little bit, but his thing was he loved reading. So he would go to Monique's bridal shop. She would bring out a chair outside sort of like the back door of the shop. She would bring out this little chair and he would sit in this chair and like read his books. He'd just read. And he was so much so this way that he was actually known as the reading man, which I thought was really cute. So he used to just sit in this shop, sit in this chair outside her shop and just read and read and read all day. He loved reading. And Monique said that she saw him on the Saturday at 5 p.m. and she said, "See you tomorrow, Warren." To which he was like, "Yeah, okay." Another clip so that you can hear. I'll set the scene again for you. So in this clip, Warren's wallet had been found. And also the place in town called People Ready. And this is where Warren had worked for the past 4 years.
How old was Warren?
So he was 69.
Oh, okay.
69-year-old man. Warren had worked at People Ready for the past 4 years. And they had phoned Monique to say that he hadn't turned up for work. And this was the first time in 4 years that he'd never shown up for work. So the police had headed down to where the wallet had been found. And I say that for everyone that can't see me, in inverted commas, found, which was apparently down by the boat ramp. So Monique had headed there to speak to the police. It's daylight, down by the river with police, Monique and some other people that know Warren from town, I believe from maybe like a coffee shop.
How do you know Warren?
I own Monique's Bridal downtown, and I give him a chair to sit and read his books.
When was the last time you saw him?
Saturday,
so
5 o'clock. I said, "I'll see you tomorrow, Warren," and he was like, "Okay," meaning he planned on coming down on Sunday, and then he did not show up. So I'm thinking if they saw him Saturday, maybe it happened more up there, because it's weird. He would never come down here. He would never come all the way down here.
He doesn't have a camp down here or anything?
No, he worked for People Ready. And someone found the wallet and called People Ready this morning. And they said that everything looked like it was in there because he doesn't have much. And I just gave him $20 for beer. So I know that he had maybe a couple bucks.
So they found his wallet just down here at the boat ramp?
Raised concern with you today to report him missing?
Because the place People Ready called to see if I had seen him, because he didn't show up for work, and he's never once not shown up for work in the 4 years he's been working for them. So I said no, and that I hadn't seen him since Saturday.
He was camping down here?
No, she's never seen or heard of him being down here.
Never
That's
misses work,
why
and
I'm freaked out, because there's no way he walked all the way down here and his wallet just
So,
appeared.
in how many years? Did he
4
work
years.
for?
Yeah, that's as long as I've known him.
He shows up every morning, every day without fail, like at 6 o'clock, sometimes a little sooner. And we always let him in before the customers. We give him free coffee. He's the nicest old man ever.
Do you talk to him at all?
All the time. Hey,
So
good.
every morning it's around 6?
Yeah.
Without fail?
Without fail. And he's the nicest guy ever. Rough looking, but he is the nicest guy.
That's the only one I have, and that's from June of 2019, so he's a little bit thinner.
Okay.
So who found his wallet down here?
The lady from the place said that it was whoever runs the life jacket thingy.
So you've just heard it right there. Who reported his wallet? The guy that runs the life jacket thingy. And if you remember, Brian's dad owned the life jacket program. So what had happened was, when Brian's dad had got Brian's car back from the tow guy and it had been dropped off, he wanted to get it up and running for his son, get it back on the road after this stupid mistake. So he'd started going through the car. He wanted to charge the battery or change the battery, dry all the electrics, things like that, see if they could get it running. He opened the passenger side door, and in the passenger side of Brian's car was a wallet. So his dad had picked it up, opened it, seen that. He spoke to Brian Jr. and said, "Why have you got a 69-year-old man's wallet in your car?" And he was like, "Oh, I found it down by the boat ramp." Very convincing to his dad, apparently. He was like, I don't know who it is. I was just down by the boat ramp, obviously. I found it down there, picked it up. So Brian's dad the next day had obviously thought, well, you know, someone's lost their wallet. This 69-year-old guy phoned the police and said, you know, we found this wallet down by the Blue Heron boat ramp, which is why the police then obviously went down there, because they'd already had a report to come in that was to say that Warren was missing. So they then had this second call to say, we've found Warren's wallet, and they were like, okay, maybe he fell in the water, maybe not, maybe he's still down there somewhere. So that's why they headed down there. Later that same day of March 1st, 2021, the police receive a call from Brian's mum, Terry. She is saying that there's an emergency, you need to come out here. And what she then says is, I just found a human head in my son's closet. So this is how it came about. Terry was already, I believe, this is just my opinion, very cautious, shall we say, over her son. He did things that she didn't really understand. He got in quite a lot of trouble at school. There was some reports of concerns that the school had about he has a tendency where he could be violent and strange outbursts. He would regularly say this sort of dark humor, things like that. So they were very aware that their son was potentially on the edge. And they found something, not the head, but they found something in Brian's bedroom some time before. It implies that it's a few years before, which they were very concerned about. And I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But she'd felt uncomfortable with everything that had happened in the last 12 hours or so. Her son's car getting swept into the river the previous evening for no understandable reason. And I think that was the thing. It wasn't like he was like, oh, I was turning my car round and I got it stuck. And it's like, oh, no one could understand why he'd done that, why he'd reversed so far down the boat ramp that his car ended up in the river. Then Brian Sr. finding the strange wallet in Junior's car. There was a missing man in town. All of this just didn't sit right with her. She was really uncomfortable about it. So she thought, I know, I'll go and have a nose through my son's room. So that's what she did. She opened his closet and she found a smelly bin bag and thought, ugh, this stinks. So she picked it up and she said it was quite heavy. She also picked up a second smelly bin bag that was slightly smaller. She takes it, she puts it in the kitchen sink. And she said she thought maybe it was like, well, she actually said she thought maybe it was like meat in there that had gone off. I mean, I would be very concerned if the kids put a bag in their wardrobes with like an old joint of meat in it anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, what the hell are you doing? But she put it in the sink. She began to open the bag and she found herself confronted with a blood-stained ear. and that was also attached to a blood-stained head. She called her husband and told him, "You need to get over here." And he was like, yeah, I'm just in the car with Andy, who's their other son. She was like, no, get over here now. It's an emergency. Get over here. While Brian Jr.'s brother waits outside, Brian Sr. goes in and looks at the horrifying scene in the kitchen sink. He confirmed to her, because I think she was at that point, she was like, am I actually seeing this? Like, is this real? Am I, or is this a prank, or like, what's happening? Like, she just couldn't actually believe that it was a real human head. He goes in, he looks, and he says, yes, I confirm that is indeed a human head. He places a towel over it and he says to Terry to go outside. So she heads out to the backyard to call the police.
911 is John. What's the address emergency?
Hi, there is an emergency. I found something in my son's closet wrapped in a plastic bag.
Okay, what was it?
I think it's a human head.
It's a what?
I think it's a human head.
Why do you think it's that?
Because it looks like it's all an ear.
Is it bloody, or does it like anything like that?
I just told you to come. So I had to take a picture and send it to you.
What's the address?
Come?
Is your son there now?
He just pulled up. We wanted to make sure he was here before we called.
How old is he?
19. He's had a little bit of a fascination with the morbid, but he was channeling it, I thought, into becoming a crime scene investigator, but not so much.
Do you think he's going to be cooperative with us?
I don't know. I don't think he'll be violent. Just came back from his friend's house.
Does he have any weapons in his room, or do you guys have any in the house?
I don't know. I think that he has a shotgun, but we can certainly remove it immediately before he gets in his room. He's out by the car now, so.
Is the bag still in the closet?
No, it's in my kitchen sink. And there's a secondary bag that I have not opened. It's currently covered with a towel.
And there's a second bag?
There's a second bag, though I don't know what's in it. I didn't open it.
I'm sorry. Did he take the second bag out of the closet?
I took the second bag out of the closet and put it in the sink.
Where's Brian now?
I think he's still outside.
And you're in the backyard now?
I am, yes, because I don't want him to hear me.
So, as you've just heard, she calls the police. They're coming out. She doesn't want to alert Brian. I think she just had no trust. I think she was unsure of what he would do, whether he would run. As you heard in there also, the police says, has he got any weapons? And she says, no, he's got a shotgun.
Yeah.
he's got a shotgun in there, but I can get it out because he's out the front. And it's like, Jesus Christ, it's so far through this, I thought, I mean, they couldn't have
put all the sides together.
Yeah, why didn't someone take action sooner? And I know it's easy to say in hindsight, but I mean, there was a lot of signs.
There's a lot of red flags.
There's a lot of red flags. And the fact that they've already removed things from his room, that they were like, no. He's got a shotgun.
Yeah, what could they have removed that was worse than a shotgun?
I mean, yeah, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you now, it's not worse than a shotgun.
They went, I'm going to take this piece of sellotape because you might use it to string someone up. You can keep the shotgun.
Yeah. I'm going to take this shovel because, dig in. Keep the shotgun. Be good. Be a good boy. So Terry and Brian Sr. are really careful not to alert Brian Jr. that they've called the cops. This is what happened when the police arrived at the house and approached Brian Jr.
How much? Cooperate. I am going to cooperate.
Okay, so parents have some concerns of some stuff they may have found in your room?
Yeah, I believe so.
And what would it be?
A human head and hands.
Well, I'm gonna have you face that way. Put your hands on top of your head for me real quick. I just want to make sure you interlace your fingers for me real quick, all right?
But he's so blasé about it.
I know.
Not like a wank sock or something.
Oh, God. Oh, Blair.
He's gone, yeah, no, yeah, it's a human head and some hands.
Yeah. I think when you see the video of him saying that, it's like he knows or he thinks that that is going to be an iconic moment, because he kind of sets himself and he turns his head to the side a little bit.
Like a bit arrogant.
Yeah. And he's
Bit
like,
cocky.
a human head and hands. Like it's like he's trying to look really cool, calm and collected and like psycho, you know. And I don't know. It's just
It's like he's been waiting for that moment. Like
exactly,
that was his,
exactly. Yeah,
that was his
he's
moment.
pictured it in his mind over and over, like, you know, what did they find, you know? And he's like, a human head and hands.
Well, that's
like,
what, when we went to that Emma Kenny serial killer thing, that's what she said constantly. It was like, it's the fantasy.
Yeah.
So that's been going on for ages, and that's something that he wanted to live out. So that this is his moment now.
I really, really believe that as well. I think that he just, I mean, he does actually say in the interview, you know, that he wanted, at one point, he said, at one point, like a long time ago, I craved notoriety. And I think, no, not a long time ago. I think that is you as a person.
Still them,
I think,
I
think that's what this whole thing's been about, which is why he's so excited in the police interview. He's so like, oh, I want to tell you, I want to say this, I want to say that, and then I did
all
this,
the
and then I did that, and and just like constantly making like really inappropriate jokes, you know, and it's completely irrelevant to him that he killed someone, that he took a human life. It's completely like, yeah, I mean, he was homeless, so that doesn't count. That's what his mentality is like to me.
Yeah.
You know, so they arrest Brian Jr., take him into custody. Brian is calm and polite the whole time. Brian confesses to everything. Like I said, he's, you know, you'll even hear in the recording, he's like, you know, I hope I'm being cooperative, you know, like checking, you know, and the police is like, yeah, you're doing great, you know. It's
good job, buddy.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, let me draw you a map, so you'll find this here and you'll find, you know, this here and this here. And
he's excited.
Yeah, very, very. I'm gonna let you all hear this chilling confession. I hope you guys don't mind. His confession was like 2 hours long, so I have whittled it down to like 17 minutes. It's still super long. If you don't want to listen to it, skip ahead 17. It's about 17 minutes and 2 seconds or something like that. But I wanted you guys to hear it, you know, from him himself as it happens, because let's face it, we're all here because we're perplexed about the dark side of this world. And I have no doubt that you're all the same as me. You know, you see a clip, you watch confession tapes, you watch an interview with Ted Bundy and an interview with Jeffrey Dahmer and all of that. And I thought, I'll just include some of it in. So if you want to hear it, it's about 17 minutes long. I'm going to play it for you in a minute. If you don't, skip ahead. And also, what you should know is some of our listeners, some of you guys may find the following recording distressing, as Brian describes in painful detail how he committed the murder of Warren. I just thought I'd give you a bit of a listener's discretion. But yeah, as I said, feel free to skip ahead anyway.
I mean, Murray going to jail for the 15 years probably.
I have no idea.
Because
We're at the beginning.
it's murder. I mean, I'm going to jail for 20 probably, but I figure, why fight it?
Okay. So what's important to me is to learn as much about you and what you did and as I can.
Well,
As many details as you can give me, the better.
I drive a 2007 Ford 500. Okay. And I keep a small 18-inch bat in there for self-defense and a large kitchen knife in the glove box, both for self-defense, because I don't really trust anyone or really any part of this town, so that's why I have both. And let's see, it was a full moon. And I figured I can see so well, why not drive out? And I am in a bad state of mind at that time. I have major depressive disorder, so I am not thinking something positively.
Okay.
And I'm cruising around for an hour and a half. So I fill up on gas halfway through. And I'm eventually driving underneath the bridge near the sheriff's office.
And Brian, before you start, you say you have a major depressive disorder. I'm just curious what those are.
Well, actually, I have several. I have high-functioning Asperger's.
Okay.
I have ADHD
Uh-huh.
and major depressive disorder.
Okay.
Major depressive, so you were wondering what that last one is?
Yeah, I know what they are. I was curious, what the exact diagnosis was and who diagnosed them.
Brett Phillips, who was counseling. He,
Brett Phillips from which counseling?
Lotus Counseling. It was, I want to say, years ago.
Okay.
And he said, looks like you have major depressive disorder. I could be wrong. He could have not formally diagnosed me, but that's what he told me I have. So that's why I go by.
Okay.
So let's just say this is the office, right? And this is the parking lot. Take a turn, and here is the bridge. That one. And it was right here. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You send people who have committed crimes like me. Do we stay in this county jail or are we moved?
It all depends on what the judge says. So we were at the bridge.
Yes, I was at the bridge. I was driving along, and I see a shape here on the railway track. So I'm like, oh, interesting. So I go up, and as I'm looking, I see a large thing wrapped in a canvas.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's a homeless person. So I grab my knife, I put on 3 layers of gloves, because plastic gloves can betray their users because they're so thin, those vinyl gloves, by imprinting your fingerprints through. So I put on 2, 3 on one hand. I took the knife, I pulled back the canvas, and I stabbed his neck.
Okay.
He was panicking at first in his old man voice. He was in his 50s. I know why I call him an old man. He was saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why? Ah! And I just kept on stabbing his neck. Is it okay if I do a demonstration?
Oh, yeah.
This is him. I was straddled on top of him like this.
Okay.
And he couldn't fight back. It was actually surprisingly easy. I was barely breaking the sweat. I thought, oh, this guy, he's going to be tough. But no, it was actually surprisingly easy. And during the time I was growling and making animalistic noises.
Why were you doing that?
I suppose it was a frenzy.
Okay.
I was so excited, so rushed up on adrenaline every day. Like, woo-hoo. And I paused and he said, why are you doing this? And I said, I've been wanting to do this for a long fucking time. Murder someone. And then I continued. The whole ordeal lasted about a minute and a half.
Okay.
And I stabbed, when I was finished stabbing him, he took out his last breath, a grunt, and his head was halfway cut off and stabbed. All the while, no, actually, after I killed him, I just couldn't stop saying, stinky, dirty.
But you remember doing it, so.
Yeah. I suppose it was just me speaking out my mind at that moment. It was like pouring out of the mind.
Were you worried about, I mean, this looks like it's pretty close to the road and stuff. Somebody seeing you
Well,
or catching you?
it was 11 p.m.,
Okay.
so not many were driving by. Well, it was behind the pillar.
So were you worried about them seeing you?
I was worried about one of them stopping.
What did you think could happen if somebody...
Well, if they looked, well, it was quite dark under there, so they wouldn't have seen the guy, like they looked. They would have seen me holding a bloody 12-inch knife, wearing gloves, and wearing a mask to conceal my identity, face mask. But no one stopped, and I'm just like, proves the bystander effect.
I noticed you got a cut on your hand. Is that from?
Oh, that was when I was doing gas. When I filled up, I mentioned I filled up gas when I was driving around.
Okay.
I was driving around. I was on a quarter of a tank, so I filled up on gas. What happened was, because I don't want to be seen in a gas station with a knife poking out of my pocket, I put it in the car, the back seat floor. When I'm done with it, I try and grab it, but my hand slips and grabs the blade, and as I pick it up, it slices these 2 fingers.
Okay.
And then, let's see. Yeah. And then after that, I stripped his clothes. I cut open his belly to see his guts. They're really pink. Sorry, that was morbid. Then I cut off his head. I gave him a Glasgow smile.
What's that?
A Joker smile. Destroyed his eyes by stabbing them in.
Okay.
And then I cut off his hands. I put those in plastic Ziploc bags. And then I cut off his right arm. At this arm, I tried cutting it here, and then I tried cutting it here. But what happened was, I accidentally broke his bone. This one, it was poking out. Okay. And so I left that one here, partially cut, dismembered here, bone sticking out. And then I left his body there. And then I took the head, put it in a leftover box from the dinner a few nights ago. And then I took the hands, put them in the back, drove home, hid the hands and head in my room, cleaned the knife, threw away the garbage with the blood on it, and then put the blood stained, wasn't stained, it had splatters on it. I put it in the dish, in the washing machine.
What did you put in there?
I put the outfit I murdered him in the washing.
You were wearing, or?
Yeah, I was wearing.
Okay.
In the washing machine, put it on high speed so it would effectively remove the blood. Washed it twice. And then I tried going to sleep, but I was worried that because there was a hole in my gloves right here, I was worried that they would be able to obtain a partial print.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, why not go all the way? I drove back in a different outfit, picked up his body, surprisingly heavy, put it in my trunk, and drove to the Blue Heron drop-off station.
Okay.
I parked, so it's like this, right? So let's say this is ground. The ramp is quite steep, and you need to have four-wheel drive to pull out of it.
Okay.
And my car didn't. I thought, I thought that I could drive out. Because I put it in reverse, A, so that it's easier to pull the body out. And B, because the back tires would provide propulsion to push up.
Right.
And I open the trunk, I take his body out, I put it in the water, and because I don't want fingerprints on a body, so I just try moving it with my shoes. That works successfully. He goes out some part in the river and floats off.
Okay.
God knows where he is now. Maybe a he. He's dead.
Still a he.
Okay, yeah. God knows where he is now. I think my guess was that it would be discovered this morning or next morning. So keep an eye out for any river-related activity.
Okay. So I can back up just so I don't lose track of where my mind is. So you cut him open, did you cut his arms off, his hands off, all that before you went home?
Yeah, before I went home, I tossed the arm bits around. Like I took the right arm bit, threw it out,
okay.
Took the left arm bit, threw it out.
So it's somewhere around that bridge?
Yeah, but look in because I know crime scenes can be a very wide area.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to look in a 10-foot area, corpses here. You're going to want a crime scene that's roughly to the railroad tracks, because they're right here, underneath the bridge, to the railroad tracks here. Just to help your search.
And this is the road.
This is right here. This is that road. What immediately caught the police's attention is blood from the body was on the reverse bumper. I forgot to wipe it off.
Oh.
And I was so panicked that I wasn't thinking. And so when they pull it out, they immediately see blood on the bumper. And they're all thinking, we'd really like to get in this trunk. Fools. There is nothing in the trunk.
Ah. Okay.
And
that happened this morning?
No, they noticed it after I'd been sent home at 3 a.m.
Okay.
They noticed the blood. But yeah, this morning they noticed some more blood on the door handle, the other door handle, passenger one.
Okay.
Yeah, and also the multi-layered gloves in the car. I took them out, and obviously my car went in there before I was able to throw them away.
Sure. From the police department, did they talk to you about that this morning?
No, I was not contacted.
Oh.
All they were planning to do with me today is get my insurance information.
Sure.
And they were still curious about the blood.
Did they ask you about that?
No, because they did not notice it while I was still there.
So when you say they were curious about the blood, how do you know that they were curious?
Because my parents told me.
Oh.
They saw the blood too, and they were curious. But I said, I don't know where the blood came from.
Oh.
I had no idea. They thought maybe it was this cut, but obviously a cut doesn't produce that much blood. They didn't know what to believe this day because it's blood, it's sticky, it's sinewy, but I can't name a source. So they were just a tiny bit curious.
Yeah.
Not a tiny bit, they were curious.
Yeah.
I hope I'm being cooperative.
Oh, you're doing great. What all did you throw while you were there? I mean, how many pieces am I looking for?
There are 2 pieces of arm, and then the body. You know where Blue Heron is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was done there.
Okay. Down the little ramp thing.
Yeah, the little ramp.
Just the head?
Yeah, it was in my room, the closet.
The body's a Blue Heron. What about, you said he took his clothes off of them?
They're still there. Along with his, in the crime
Did
scene.
you throw them or?
No, they're still there. It's just a pile of his sleeping things.
Okay. Oh, they're on the back side of...
There where all the blood is.
I just want to make sure I have that. So the arm and his clothes are near Crosby.
Yeah, like this. Like here's Crosby Avenue, and here's the bridge. Here's the crime scene. Here's the railroad. The arms are around this area.
Okay.
You think
behind the pillar?
Do you think you threw them past the railroad?
No.
Between these two?
No, they're between those.
Okay.
And then you said you took, was it the head and the hands?
Mm-hmm.
What did you put that in?
There's a 3 rule for bodies. I like to call it the 3 rule.
Okay, tell me about that.
3 hours, rigor mortis sets in. Body stiffens. 3 days, the body starts to stink because of decomposition. 3 weeks, the body is starting to seriously decompose.
Right, great.
3 months, the body is unrecognizable. 3 years, it turns into a skeleton.
And may I ask how you know that?
I've always had a fascination with forensics and with anatomy and physiology. That's something I made up. That's something I don't want to sound like I'm inventing something. That's why I coined the 3 rule.
You kind of remember it that way.
Yeah.
That's your way of remembering.
Is it accurate?
Well, somewhat. Yeah, so what did you have the head and the hand at your house?
The head, because it was starting to stink, I was planning on throwing the head and hands away.
Okay.
Not in the trash bag. And not in the kitchen trash. But they were both in trash bags. The head was in a trash bag. I tied up the trash bag. Hands, I put in a trash bag as well. They were in Ziploc bags. And I was planning, did they sell empty paint buckets? I was planning to buy an empty paint bucket, put the head in it, seal it, and then I was going to throw it off in some ditch.
So that's the arms and the clothes, the head and the hands, and then the whole rest of the body you put in the river?
God knows where it is now.
Right, but it was put in there.
Yes.
How long do you really, honestly think you've been thinking about really at some point you wanted to know what murder felt like?
A year.
Okay. All right.
I'm not a serial killer by no means. But some serial killers, there's different types of them. There's organized, disorganized, missionary.
I'm just wondering what gets you excited about doing it?
I'm not really sexually attracted to it. It was just curiosity, more or less, because I always wanted to know what it felt like to cut up someone.
Okay. So how long have you been planning or looking for someone to do this with before you found this guy?
About a year.
About a year?
No, 6 months. I was looking for a deliberately secluded place like that one.
Well, have you looked like at the homeless places or anything in the past?
I have, yes. I would go on night drives often, maybe once every 2 weeks. Occasionally when you see girls walking down the street, I take a glance at them, because it really is like Ed Kemper, where half of me says, well, I'm quite inept with women. I'm being honest, I'm no Casanova. But half of me says, I want to take that girl home and make her feel nice. And the other half of me, it's just like what Ed said, is I want to see what her head looks like on a stick.
As you've just heard, he likens himself to many serial killers, especially at the end when he says a quote from Ed Kemper, who was a famous serial killer.
He done the same, actually, didn't he? When he confessed, he went into a lot of detail and was very blasé.
chatty.
Very chatty, very helpful.
He has been likened to Ed Kemper in his mannerisms and things like that. But he was a serial killer fanatic.
Yeah.
Like Brian Jr. He read a lot about Ed Kemper. He read a lot about Jeffrey Dahmer. He said that his nickname at school was Dahmer.
Oh, that's good.
No, exactly. God. But he seemed to kind of relish that. So I think he kind of put himself in that I'm a future serial killer kind of, and people need to be wary of me. And
he wants that level of respect.
He does. He definitely does. And I think he's way off kilter because, serial killers aren't respected. They're used as something that people study, and we talk about it only because we're like, I just don't understand what makes someone want that for themselves.
For them, the point is that we're talking about them. That's what they want. It's
like when they say about
what
children,
we're saying.
When they say about children having like attention, and it doesn't matter if it's good attention or bad attention, it's attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, we're well doing the wrong thing, aren't we? I shouldn't have made an episode about him. He's a knob. So
should have constantly called him the wrong name.
Oh my god, yes.
Brian Cohee.
Brian. Is that a name? So I found it really hard to hear when he says about how easy it was. And, killing him was easy. I hardly broke a sweat and things like that. Although there was one thing that I really, really appreciated him saying was a quote from Brain. I'm probably going to jail anyway for like 15 years anyway. Ha! Wrong. 15 years. Wrong. Yeah, so I quite like that. I thought that was quite ironic, the fact that he thought he'd done enough research to think, even if I do get caught, because he genuinely thought he wouldn't get caught.
It's only 15 years.
Yeah, I'll probably be going to jail for like 15 years anyway, so I may as well just be honest and be as helpful as I can. And it's like, wrong. He had many, many searches on his internet history. The day before the murder, he'd actually searched James Dale Ritchie, Joseph Christopher, and Andrea Yates, who all killed multiple people. And I was going to call them serial killers, but I don't know if Andrea Yates comes under serial killer. I don't know. I was unaware of who they were.
I don't know Andrea Yates.
No, Andrea Yates, Joseph Christopher, and James Dale Ritchie. I think Joseph Christopher was someone who was he was a serial killer in the 80s, I believe. Andrea Yates killed 5
Oh,
children.
her children. So that's no. So that's called mass murder. That's not. So
Yeah.
serial killer is more than like
more
2,
than
but
one.
over.
Yeah, over a period. So that's why I put who killed multiple people, and I didn't put these were all serial killers.
No.
Because they
Oh,
weren't.
I've got her face up. I recognise her face as well, and I hate her, so she's going off the screen.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, delete that shit. He wore a blue jumpsuit like Michael Myers when he committed this murder, as he associated it with violence. He also admitted that, and this was a big part of the case, but I didn't want to include it because it makes me even more sad. There's animal sad and then there's human sad. I can cope with human sad. I cannot cope with animal sad. So I'm going to skip past it. But you should all be aware that this is why I think he's a bastard, as well as for obviously killing
Warren.
So he admitted that in 2018, he took, killed and decapitated a black cat. He took the body of the cat home and kept it for 3 days, and he got rid of the cat's body as it, quote, started to stink. So moving on from that, because there was a lot of details about that. There was rumours about him killing and decapitating this cat at his school. A lot of his school friends were talking about it, things like that. But just makes me too sad, because I've got cats and I love all cats, no matter where they are and who they live with. Brian says the original plan was to find a sex worker, or as he refers to them as prostitutes. His plan was to take a prostitute, subdue her, tie her up, and then torture her. And he even says in the interview to the policeman, or to the detective, I mean, we don't have prostitutes in this area, do we? Do you get sex crimes reported? Like he's doing a bit of research. Like, do you know where
next time?
Do you know where I could pick one of those up? Do you get, are there? You know, and I was just like, what? And then I was even more surprised that the detective says, yes, we do get reports of prostitutes in this area. And it was like you could see Brian go, oh, damn it,
missed my opportunity.
Damn it, I didn't think there were any. Now you've told me there are. That's what I wanted. So yeah, he figured out a whole plan as well. But he said it was too risky, as his parents had found his kill kit in his bedroom some years ago. His kill kit obviously didn't contain the shotgun, because that was all right. But it had like a shovel, tape, a knife, big black bags, gloves, that kind of thing. And they'd found it, and he said they'd given him an ultimatum: throw it away or we'll call the police. So he threw it away. No, you keep shotguns fine. Keep that. That's
I'm
not
all for, like, you know, your children are your children, you love them no matter what. But if you've got that level of depravity and violence, I think you'd be like, he obviously can't help this, so he needs help.
Yeah,
he's got
I
a
agree.
rolled out kill kit in his. But like, what does he want then? What does he want that for?
Yeah.
What reason has he got all of that in his bedroom?
No, and there was a lot of things that were happening at the school as well that I think possibly his parents kind of reasoned out a little bit. Well, he just did that because of this, and he's not a violent person. His dad's like, he's never hit anyone. He's not a violent person. He like
wouldn't
me.
hurt a fly.
He's very placid, and all that. And I think I'm not blaming his dad or his mum, but I just think it's such a shame, because they obviously had so much like love and such strong will for him to do well.
It's I don't even think it's that. I think it's denial.
Yeah.
I think you don't want to think that your child is capable of something like that, so you push it to the back of your head.
Oh, 100%.
I don't think it's I just think it's denial.
Yeah.
And even when you're confronted with it, there's still that level of denial.
Yeah. The teachers had a meeting about him, and their concern was violence, was that he was going to be overly violent.
Yeah. Did you know, by the way, your son's nickname was Dharma?
Yeah. It seems like they did.
Yeah.
They said, one of the teachers said at this meeting that they had, if anyone's going to snap and shoot up this school, it'll be him.
Oh, God.
They honestly thought.
And they went,
that he was gonna be
don't
violent.
worry about it. He's got a shotgun in his bedroom. It's fine. He wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Well, exactly. So at this meeting, they said that they had found a notebook. So the teachers were discussing this notebook along with behaviours that had happened, from Brian previously. And they said that in this notebook, it was like serial killers statistics, like kill counts, what their MO was. And it was like all the big ones, like Ed Kemper, Jeffrey Dahmer. Who's the one that I always forget his name?
Well, it's like on the edge of my tongue. What's his name? I keep thinking Tom Brady, but it's not.
Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, but like all of the sort of famous serial killers and that, and obviously they had like massive amounts of worry about this. They were like, this is not normal. We see thousands and thousands of high school kids, and this is on a different level. This is worrying.
Yeah.
Brian also openly admitted to taking photos of Warren after he'd killed him. And he said, but I deleted them entirely. And the police were like, what do you mean entirely? And he was like, well, I deleted them. And they were like, all right, well, we can get them with the police. So the police,
like he thinks he's outsmarted them. I've deleted them. You'll never be able to find them. And
I've deleted them entirely. The policewoman says, what do you mean entirely? And he's like, well, I deleted them because they're evidence. She was like, all right, well,
you've got a human head in your wardrobe.
We'll just get them. Yeah. He was like, all right. So yeah, the police did indeed retrieve the pictures, which obviously they haven't shown, but they said they were horrendous.
Yeah, I bet they were.
Brian tried everything he could to cover his tracks. There is no doubt in my mind that he planned it, carried it out, and tried to hide all evidence. However, after pleading not guilty by reason of insanity, in February 2023, Brian Cohee was found guilty of the following: 1 count of evidence of tampering, 1 count of evidence tampering, 2 counts of tampering with a deceased human body, and 1 count of murder in the first degree. He was sentenced.
Oh, sorry. I'm full of rage. Do you know why he would have pled not guilty?
Yeah, because I think he wanted...
So that he would get a trial.
Yeah.
That's why, because if you plead guilty, that's it. That they do the sentencing, whatever else. He's pled not guilty so that he can have a trial.
Yeah,
and it gets all brought up, and he can have his moment.
Yeah. He's even smiling and laughing in the courtroom.
Yeah,
at his sentencing. So he's like, he's not bothered.
Did he get more than 15 years?
He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and I believe given maybe like an extra 13 years just for good measure.
Yeah, just whack that on top.
Yeah. He currently resides in Buena Vista Correctional Facility in Colorado Springs. So have that, Brian. 15 years? I'm probably going to get 15 years. I don't think so. Life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Oh, I bet he loves it though.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Do you reckon he's loving it in prison, telling everyone how he... I mean, going to prison at the age of 19 for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
He's still today, he has shown no remorse.
Probably doesn't even know
for
what that
taking
is.
Warren's life. Absolutely none whatsoever. I think it appears that he kicks himself because he forgot, because he even says in the police interview, I forgot to wipe the blood off. Because as you heard in that long recording, he's taken the body, Warren's body, out of the boot of the car, which is why he why he reversed so far down the ramp to the river and dragged the body out. I mean, it was, just legs and torso. He'd cut off the arms and head and hands. So he'd dragged Warren's body out of the car and thrown it in the river, and he forgot to wipe off the bumper. I mean, she says, what did your parents say? And he says, oh, I told them that it was probably from the cut on my hand. But no cut like that is going to leave that amount of blood. Like he's saying, my parents were stupid for believing me.
Stupid to believe me. Yeah, absolutely. But also it puts into perspective, you played the video or the audio clip of when he got stuck and he's going, oh, I'm cold. Can we do that? Can we do it in here because I'm really cold? Fuck off.
Yeah, I know. Fuck off. I know. I just kind of, yeah. I mean, I say, oh, the police saw something that looked like blood on the back of the car. Why didn't they take the car and test it? And, why was it the parents that were like, hang on, this happened, then this happened. Now there's a missing man and better go and check his room. The parents did that. Why? And I don't mean to have a go or sound like I'm having a go at the police, but why would the police not be like, it's a bit weird that someone would reverse their car that far down a muddy boat ramp.
Yeah.
And now there looks like something like blood on the back of it.
Yeah.
I think just hold fire. We're just going to have a look at this car in the daylight hours and then we'll release it back to you.
Yeah. My detective brain would have gone, he's trying to dump something. If you're reversing down a slope like that into the water, what are you trying to get rid of? Also, there's blood there.
Yeah. If he was nose down, I could have understood that a bit better, because I'd be like, well, yeah, I get
He's
that.
forgot to brake or something.
Yeah,
but
maybe you've driven down there and you want to look at, like, the moonlight on the river and, I think, all right, that's a possible excuse or reason. But reversing down a ramp, it doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it's like, I can't remember what serial killer it is, but he gets stopped. It's a routine traffic stop, and he gets stopped. And they're
that's
like,
Ted Bundy.
Is that Ted Bundy? What's
That's
all
Ted
those
Bundy.
bags of trash in the boot? And he's like,
no.
it's just no. I think it might even be Dharma.
That was Dharma.
And he's like, oh, I'm running errands. I'm taking the trash for somebody. And they go, all right then. And they let it go. That you can understand, because there's nothing suspicious about that. They stopped him. And yes, there were black bags, but he said it was trash and they're not going to search it because they don't believe him. So that you can understand. But in a situation where he's in a very remote location for no reason and doing dodgy ass shit, reversing his car into the water, followed by the bloodstains, you'd be like,
not
something
sure.
doesn't add up here.
But it's how it always happens, and that's why these murderers end up being caught, because it's always something stupid where they think they've planned it and planned it and planned it. I'll never get caught. It's always something that you just cannot foresee. Because I think if he'd wiped the blood off the back of the car, maybe they wouldn't have thought, But more than anything, what if he hadn't got the car stuck? Because that's the turning point, is him getting the car stuck. And his dad, obviously that led to his dad then sorting out the car the next day, finding the wallet, reporting the wallet. Otherwise there would have been no tie to Warren's wallet being where did you find it then? Oh, down by Blue Heron boat ramp.
Yeah.
Because that's what his dad told the police. And then they were like, why was it found down there? And his mum was like, why was it found down there? I'm going to go check his room.
Did she check his room because she was suspicious, or was she just like in his room tidying up?
No,
She
she
was
felt,
looking for stuff.
yeah, she just, I think she was just putting everything together. And obviously they'd already removed a kill kit. The police had said there looks like blood on the back of the car.
Yeah.
They've already had these chats. She knows that he's got this dark humor. He's always a little bit on the dark side. But yeah, I mean, it comes across to me like she was suspicious and she thought, I'm just going to go and have a little fiddle around in his room, see if there's anything out of the ordinary. But yeah, and then that happened. But I mean, you know, applause for Terry, Brian's mum, for actually going, don't alert him, I'm going to call the police. Because Brian even says, when they said about, you know, what did you think was going to happen when you got caught? And he says, I thought my mum was going to sort of have it out with me. You know, I thought she was going to question me, but nope, she went straight and called the police. So I think the biggest thing that plays on my mind, obviously, is why would you do that to someone?
I think that he was so confident in his ability to be a chameleon and to blend in that perhaps he thought that he had his parents wrapped around his finger and that they wouldn't possibly suspect him of that. So why would they search his room?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for me is like thinking about what would have happened if he hadn't got his car stuck on the boat ramp.
Yeah.
Because there's just...
It wouldn't have stopped. It wouldn't have been his only one. He wouldn't have stopped.
No, that's what I think as well. And in the interview, like you can hear the police saying, so what would you have done next? You know, where would you have gone with this? You know, would you have gone on to kill more people? And he's like, well, you know, I'm not sure, and blah. And I think absolutely 100%. You tested it out with a cat. You liked it. You didn't get caught for it. You know, and he says, as you heard in the recording, how long have you been thinking about it? And he goes, a year. No, 6 months. And it's like, okay, you know, and then he says, I would sometimes about once every 2 weeks, I would drive around and I would look, you know, and
Been
it's
planning
just,
that for a while.
if he got away with that, if he hadn't got his car stuck, he would have gone on to kill someone else.
Absolutely.
100%. Because he said, I thought it would be a cold case. I thought you'd find his body in the river and then it would be a cold case. There's nothing that ties me to here.
That's that arrogance,
you know,
because he thinks he's better
exactly.
and I've outsmarted everybody and I've thought of everything because I've taken the hands.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and there are no fingerprints, they're not going to identify him. He'd taken his wallet, there's no identification, and he's taken his head, so they can't identify the body.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a few things. If he was going to do that, taking the head, so that obviously that's what his mum found, they wouldn't have tied it to him with the car necessarily, you know. And even if they did sort of go away and think, yeah, that was weird, that did look like blood or something on the back, they obviously didn't think it was that strange because they released the car back to the Cohees. But even if they had thought that, it would have been wiped clean by then, you know. And Brian could have, you know, said to his parents, well, you know, cut my hand, and they would have gone, oh, okay, fair enough, that makes sense. And
because originally he said that he hadn't cut himself.
Yeah.
He says that I haven't injured myself. So they must have questioned him again and gone, no, it does look like blood, mate. What's gone on? He's gone, oh, I've cut my hand.
Yeah, because the car was back at, I think at his dad's house in the garage. So his dad would have said, because he does say that my parents asked me about it and I said it's from the cut on my hand, which you can hear in the recording. He says when he goes to the gas station to fill up halfway, he thinks, oh, I've got this flipping great big knife sticking out my pocket. So he grabs it and it slips. He grabs the blade instead and it cuts 2 of his fingers. So that's where he gets cut from. That's what he tells his parents is is from, but he's like, there's not that much blood from a cut like that.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah. Yeah, I'm always going to be suspicious if anything that looks remotely like blood is on a car.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like,
and that car was in a very suspicious location doing
yeah,
God knows what.
oh, idiot,
Yeah.
Brian.
Oh, well, that was a very
Oh.
good story. I enjoyed that one.
Good. I'm
'Cause I
glad
didn't
that
know
you
all the
were able
details.
to jump in on some of it as well. So sometimes I think it is a good thing that we know the stories and that.
Yeah.
Because then we can both weigh in on it. But yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you very much.
Hope you guys all enjoyed it. And if you've got anything to add, which I'm sure you guys have, because I've got menopause brain. Yeah, let us know. Let us know. All right.
Perfect.
See you
next
all
time.
later.
Bye.
Bye.
If you have enjoyed listening to our episodes, make sure you rate us and leave us a review on whatever platform you are listening.
We absolutely love hearing from you guys. So you can also help support our show by donating to our Buy Me a Coffee link. We will make sure that you get a massive shout out and a big thank you in our next week's episode.
You can also follow us on social media at Perplexed Podcasts. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and if you want to see more videos and blooper reels, subscribe to our TikTok and YouTube channels.
You can also email us your stories at perplexedpodcasts@gmail.com.
And you can find all the relevant links in the episode descriptions. Thanks for listening. Bye.